guys. So, just wanted to do a bit more work on this model. I think since the last time I did some of the finer highlights on these weapons, and I also highlighted up the smaller weapons on the arms. I think they came out okay. I think I said last time that I might paint this this head but I might do that next time. I'm still not convinced on what I actually want to do with it, and yeah, I've got these sort of ambitious ideas, and I'm maybe just a bit nervous about starting it and getting it wrong. So I might just procrastinate on that one a little longer. The other missing piece is what to do with this sword. I could just do a big sort of metallic blade, but I don't know. I kind of feel like I need to have something special. Not really sure. While I'm waiting, I figured I could do a little bit of work on the base. So all I've done here is I've just done a base coat in grey. So I went with this one. What's that say? Mechanicus Standard Grey, which is a I don't know if that's focusing or not, but it's sort of like the same grey as this matte, maybe a little bit darker. I've used it for a lot of bases before. I find it's a pretty good one. And then I went over it with a shade, a black shade, Norn Oil it's called. Then I did a couple of dry brushes of that same grey, and then a lighter grey called Dawnstone. So this is the grey for the base, and this is the dry brush grey. And then I did a final lighter dry brush again in this grey here. So 3 different types of grey. I think for what I want, that's a good start. What I was thinking, I've put a lot of skulls on this base. What I'm thinking is this is like a fallen temple or something, and yeah, it's got a lot of ruins and skulls lying around. I was going to put a little bit of grass down here and there, but this piece in particular, don't know if that sort of, I can get that to focus behind my hand. Let's see if I can get it. So, I don't think it's picking it up. There we go. So So that little bit there, that's sort of, that comes with this Wraithlord model. It's like a little piece of a ruin or something. What I was thinking was there's a little gem on there. I might paint that glowing red, just as a like interesting little eye catcher. But what I wanted to start with now was just painting some of these skulls in a base colour. So this is the same, what would you say, paint recipe as the weapons on this model, which is a pretty well-known set of colours for painting skulls and bones, which is starting with Xandri dust. Then I'll go Ushtabi bone, then some screaming skull. And somewhere along the way I'll put some shade in there to darken some parts. One thing I've learned over the years using shade is you don't necessarily just sort of slap it down and let it dry. I've found I can get some really good effects out of I guess putting a layer of shade down and then using or cleaning my brush off and using the brush to pull the shade off, raised parts of the model. So for a skull that's sort of sitting upright, you'd pull the shade off the top of the skull. And if you give it a practice and get used to it, you can sort of see that it doesn't take all of it away, or it can almost take all of it away, but you get used to it, how it works, and it's you can produce sort of a gradient effect of shading, so that instead of having to sort of do smooth colour transitions, the shade does that for you. And where I've found it to be very useful was on another model I did, which I might do a video of, just to sort of run through some of the things, or just what it looks like, I guess. But you use a shade that's sort of a very different colour to the set of colours you're highlighting. So I did it on the model's bare, like bald head. I wanted it to look like he was sort of very pale but sickly. And I used different shades of flesh tones, highlighting to a light, very light sort of pale grey. And then the shade that I used was actually purple. And by selectively taking that shade away with a clean brush, that meant that the raised parts of the, I guess the head, the scalp, were almost the same colour as when I started, but different, I guess, different parts of it that were lower down. You went to this sort of deep purple that made it look like it was sort of bruised or something, where those parts connected with things like, electronics and stuff like that. So yeah. Actually, with other models, I've been enjoying that little base holder. This sort of holds the base of the model, so that when you're painting, you can have a better grip on things. Whereas this thing, the base is too big for one of those. So I'm sort of back to where I was a couple of years ago before I bought that base holder. And it just reminds me of how I used to do it, always grabbing parts of the model, and I'm not really that worried about things like fingerprints, but it's more sort of the grip that you have on the model. It's just not as good. This brush is starting to separate out. Maybe it's just how I'm using it at the moment. But this one's been working pretty hard for the last couple of years. So it'll be a shame if it doesn't make it. I thought I was keeping pretty good care of it. Certainly getting more out of brushes these days than I used to. I used to go through them pretty quickly. But yeah, look at that. That's showing up, but yeah, that one's really starting to split up. It's still got a pretty good tip. It's more that it's just not holding together like it used to. Well, nothing lasts forever. Nothing lasts forever, they say. So yeah. For these horns, this skull that I'm painting here with the long horns, what I've done with them in the past is I start the model in the same base colour, so the entire piece I do in this Xandri dust, and I'll sort of do light dry brushing along the horns in the highlight colours. But to get the finished piece, I'll use multiple layers of shading of brown and black shades on the horn. So the skull I'll do in like a sepia shade, but yeah, the horns I'll do in brown and black, and I'll do like 3 or 4 coats of that. The purpose of that is if you see, like a goat or something, their horns, they're pretty dark. Like horns are kind of exposed to, all the sort of elements and things. And animals get them pretty dirty when they're using them for things. So it's not like bone. It's more like used. Oops. Funny, I'm painting the underside of this horn, and I think I'll be the only person who'll ever see that part of the model. But I do it anyway. So it's good that they kind of stick out a bit. Once they're properly highlighted up, it'll look a bit better. You know, you throw a little bit of grass down to sort of offset the contrast of the base colour and those skulls. And it looks pretty good, I think. I think instead of putting the shade on now and then highlighting up again, I might do some highlights. Do some highlights first and then shade it later. I think I'm actually thinning my paint a bit too much, but I don't think it matters for what I'm doing, because the shade's going to balance a lot of this out, I think. So all I'm doing is sort of just roughly throwing this highlight on little areas that might catch light. I guess ultimately I'm painting these to a tabletop sort of satisfactory standard. Everyone's got a different level of what they would consider satisfactory, I guess. You know, I've seen other videos that sort of show a tabletop standard and they won't even have shading, or well, they won't even have highlights. It'll just be, you know, base colours, a couple of layer colours and shades and things. You know, which is fine. You throw a whole army together like that, it can actually look pretty good. You know, I don't think I could do commission painting or anything. Even if I wanted to, it's just, first of all, whether someone would want the work I do, who knows. But one of the things I like about this hobby is that generally what you're playing with is something you've invested your time and energy into because you like it. You know, it appeals to you, why you chose what you chose. A lot of people in the, competitive sphere can chase the meta, so to speak, try to sort of keep ahead of the competitive game. Which I understand, but they'll still quite often paint their own armies. It's still got that touch of themselves in it. But it's not like Magic the Gathering or something where you just go out and buy some cards. Everything's all ready to go. Which, I'll grant that even in a game like that, there's an aspect of your own character in the deck that you make. People have a preference for a type of play. Control, burn, aggro, combo, things like this. If you know anything about that game. And generally, at least my opinion is you'll do better with something that you feel an affinity towards, instead of just chasing a meta. I think, Warhammer really facilitates that, because even in the competitive scene, most tournaments require you to have a painted army. So, unless you just can't paint an army yourself, either you might not have time, or some people can be pretty busy. There's people out there with disabilities and things that just makes it hard. I can understand that. I wear some pretty heavy duty lenses to do this, which is interesting because I don't really wear glasses normally, unless I'm working or sitting down to read or something. But just day to day, I don't wear glasses. But when I'm painting, I've got these big magnifying headset on, because I like to be able to see what I'm doing. I find that really close focusing is a lot harder than it used to be. I guess a lot of people have glasses and so on. So if that's a disability, it's not exactly the most oddball one. But I'm sure there's people out there who really just can't. Might not even be able to pick up a brush. It'd be pretty hard. So, if there's people out there who, can help people like that into the game, then all power to them. I guess someone like that could still say, when they do get a commission army painted, they can ask, for a certain aesthetic or style or something. Yeah, that's cool. So it still captures that, I don't know, the spirit of it. Some people just paint models because they like them. Don't even play the game. Or often, a lot of tournaments I've been to where people don't expect to do anything at all as far as winning success at playing the game in the tournament. And they focus on, display boards and model conversions and paint jobs and army themes and things like that, which, it's all good stuff. I've done a bit of that too. Although, like everything in life, all this is, you get out what you put in, so it's really a matter of effort. I think a lot of people have enough creativity in them to do something, noteworthy. But I think, well, maybe just my opinion, but I think there's more. I think creativity is an important thing, but so is the discipline to turn it into a reality. Creativity can be rare, but so can discipline. So there's some skulls. See where I've got some paint on there. That looks permanent. I don't think it's too bad though. I was actually thinking of painting this whole, I don't know what you'd call it, it's like a rune or something. Painting that in a metallic colour. This one, Balthazar gold. I think I might do that. Do that now. Okay. Actually, while I'm at it, I might paint the back of this model. So I don't know if that will come up or not, depending on the lighting. But I'll just point it out. Right in there, this sort of a rune. It's like a complicated sort of rune thing. I thought I could do that in metallic, so I'll give it a shot. pretty fine detail, but it's all raised, so it means you don't have to you don't have to freehand it, which is great. Although some people really like doing freehand. I've done a bit of it, but the idea of doing it just scares me. A bit like, as I said earlier about painting the head for this model. I've got some ideas, but I just keep second guessing myself. I don't know if that happens to you guys, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's pretty common. That's why so many of us are impressed when we see, good freehand, because, you can see someone's taken the time to really get it right. Yeah, I know you can't really see what I'm doing here, but I think it's actually come up pretty well. Can you get that? Yeah, sort of. You see that? Maybe pretty dark there, but yeah. It'll do. I really like this Balthazar gold colour. Sort of like like an old copper. Like the old pennies or an old coin. So you can use it. You can use it for a lot of different things. You can use it as a base. I like to highlight up from it through other coppers and then bronze, even to silver. It makes an interesting effect. I think I showed you guys some of that on the Farseer model I did. But you can also do like a green tarnish, like a bronze, weathered bronze has green in it where it oxidises, the copper. It's a good base for doing that too. I'm just painting over the gem here, but I'll work that one out later. I guess one thing to consider is that if this little rune thing is painted in copper and I make the gem glowing red, it might, the red might blend in with the copper a bit too much. But if I do it blue, then does it not contrast with the main model enough? Who knows? Okay. Right. So now I'm going to throw some shade down over these skulls. They should be dry enough. Yes, instantly it's very dark compared to what I had there before, which is okay, but I'm going to do what I was saying earlier. So I'm not going to do all the skulls at once. I might just do a couple at a time. And then pull off the excess shade from the top, because it's going to leave them too dark. Yeah. So you sort of wash your brush and then dry it on some towel. You can see there, I don't know if that's showing up well, but you can see the top of this skull. I stripped it off, and the one next to it I haven't really yet, so you just go like that. I don't know if that's coming up or not, but kind of wicking the shade off with the capillary of the brush. So yeah, ends up like that. Which is still fairly yellow compared to the ones with nothing on them. But I don't know if I want sort of bleached white bones. I think having them a bit dirty is, I don't know, a bit more natural or something. I guess the other thing is with shades is getting used to pushing the shade around while it's still wet. So you want to sort of push it into deeper parts of the thing you're shading. If you get any sort of crevices or something that you haven't got the shade into yet, you can kind of, without saturating the piece, you can kind of just sort of slide it back down there. It works out pretty well. I don't know, I think something of certainly different as far as my painting process over time, it's taken a long time, has been becoming more patient. And I still rush things, to a degree. I could be a lot more patient than I am, but I'm certainly more patient than I used to be. I think very early on I used to just skip, a whole bunch of things on models. Like on Marines, skipping the pouches and grenades, all that sort of stuff. Just doing the sort of bare minimum. Which, I don't really care if that's what people want to do. You just want to get some paint on the models. Even skipping stuff like that. As long as you've got a cohesive looking army, it still can look really good. That stuff doesn't always really matter a lot. But these days, I don't know, I just sort of want to feel like I've done the whole thing. There we go. One of the other advantages to doing things this way, where you sort of shade and then pull the shade off the higher parts of the model that you've just shaded, is that it leaves the sort of, the lower parts of the model more grimy. So it looks like, they've been sitting in the dirt. A bit more natural. I'm not going to bother pulling shade off the horns, because I'm going to be throwing a lot more on there later. Probably do 2 layers of brown and then a layer of black. So yeah, that is that for now. Yeah, I think if I throw some grass around it a bit, that'll sort of transition those skulls into the rest of the base, so they don't stick out so much. Maybe some grass amongst the skulls, but also back here, on this flat bit. I should really maybe put some brown or something, an orange dry brushed into those stones around the skulls as well. I'll have a think about it. So, still a bit to do, but when you're procrastinating about something, find something else to do. It's better than just watching TV, I guess. So yeah. Thank you.